Uh, Welcome to Shoe Up School of Shoemaking. This is our first video here, and it's the first of its kind, the first step to know just before we proceed to any aspect of shoemaking. It's going to be a complete series. This is a shoe. It's a shoe we are making, and we are going to start from drawing the pattern to the very last step. If you follow us to the end, you are going to see the complete process of how to make the shoe. Please do subscribe to our channel to catch up with the remaining part of this project. This is just the first part. Thank you very much. This is a size 45 last, and we are just going to tape it. I just indicated on the part that we are going to tape. That's the right side, the side facing the camera. That's the part we are going to tape. We want to start our taping from the center of the last. The reason being that when we want to open the tape, when we are done with our pattern drafting, it will be the anchor for the rest of the tape, especially at the center, so we don't have any issue about any parts dislodging. We are going to do the same thing for the back, and make sure anytime you are taping, make sure you avoid rumple or wrinkle. Be sure to clear it off as much as possible. The paper tape here is not very sticky. There are some like that they are not very sticky. I advise that we use a really sticky paper tape. It will make the work stressless and very easy. This one used to be very sticky, but then I don't know what the problem is with this very one. The next thing to do is we are going to tape along the length of the last. I mean, from the back to the front of the last. That's the direction we are going to be taping. Usually when we tape last, we just put one straight tape from the nose of the last, that's the pointed part of the last, in front to the back of the last, and we just put it in such a way that it will avoid wrinkle in the best possible way. There are some parts there that are going to squeeze, especially some part of the back. You can see they are going to squeeze, but then we just tend to avoid them as much as possible. You can see this part. Just use your hand or your thumb to just flatten it. When you are done flattening it with your hand, just take a pencil or a biro. All those parts that are wrinkled or rumpled, just use your biro to iron them, to press them down, and we are just good to go. the next set of the next position we are going to tape is also in that direction, but then it will not get to the very front of the last. It will not get to the nose region of the last. It will end somewhere beside the front of the last. And when you tape the second one, make sure it overlaps with the first one, so that when you are opening it, they will not detach. And make sure you avoid any part squeezing as much as possible. Make it straight. Yeah, you can see just the way I'm using my hand to caress it. Just this back part, you can draw it a little bit too. By the time you add some tension to the tape, it will make it easy to flatten out. You do the same thing again from the back to the front, and you make sure it overlaps. Yeah, just like so. Yeah, when you tape this way, it will be very easy to cover the tape very quickly when you tape in this direction. Also make sure it is very smooth. We do the same again. We basically do the same thing until we get to the top of the last. Eventually, at this point, we are not going to get to the very front. We are not going to get to the top, to the nose region of the last, because of the curvature there. So we are going to end somewhere around just there, the middle. Then we do the same again until we cover the back part of the last, before we eventually come to the front of the last. Also make sure that they overlap at this point, and keep cutting them at this region. All these parts that are excess, just use your hand to bend them over on the last. They do not add to the pattern we are going to be drawing, and later we are going to cut them off. This part requires only small tape. Just cut the small tape and put it there, just like so, and also bend it over in front and at the top. So we are left with just one small region in front that we are yet to cover, after which we'll now start crossing over. But let's first cover the front part first. Make sure it's also it's overlapping properly. Make sure it's overlapping properly. If it's not overlapping properly, just open it, and just like so, make sure it's overlapping well enough. Yeah, then carefully drag the front part and make sure it's not squeezing too much. Yeah, so after this stage, we can now cross over. A lot of persons will tend to cross over with a lot of tape, but really you don't need to cross over with many tapes. All you just need to do is cross over at this point, which is close to the region, the center of the last. Yeah, you want to cross it over until it gets under the last, after which you do just a distance in front of it, just like so. Then we do just another one, and usually for me, I think this is just enough. This is not just enough. It is just to provide some support when you are opening it so that they don't eventually detach. When you are done taping your last, just use your biro, pencil, or any smooth bodied object to flatten the last. And you see this part, you should also smoothen it out so that it's as smooth as possible. So it's as smooth as possible. Mark the center of the top of the back of the last, both at the base and at the top. We are going to mark the front part also, the center, that top part, and the nose part. And we are also going to mark this part. This part is called the feather edge of the last. Every tip that cross over at this point, we are going to cut them off. So to be able to mark it, just slightly slide your pencil over it as if you are shading it, then we'll be able to cut it out, and that's